Welcome back to another episode of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Show. This week, we are absolutely jam-packed with listener questions. We've got Rasmo from TikTok, who's been a regular contributor. We've got a listener set of rules written for the hobby. We're going to break that down. We're also going to be talking about Jeff Wilson's discovery of Panini using AI products to write the backs of cards and also to do some of the artwork. We're going to talk about an NBA Finals comp. So we've got Wemby versus Karl Anthony Towns. That's going to be awesome. We're going to talk about Derrick Rose, a black one of one that recently sold, and much, much more. Stick around, guys. Enjoy the show. Read on that. So the first thing we've got today is a listener question from Rasmo. So Rasmo, thank you as always for all of your support. It is really appreciated. So the question is from Rasmo on TikTok. What's up, Rasmo? Is this. How's it going? Just thinking about things for advice. Have you ever bought any cards from COMC? And if you know if it's legit, also delivery for tracked is super expensive. Would you trust untracked? Just wondering. Thank you. If you have any other places to buy cards from that you trust, please let me know, as I've been burnt a few times on eBay. All right, cool. So super easy to walk through this and get this answered. I am pretty sure this is going to cause my feed on TikTok to get taken down out of the algorithm, but that's okay too. The first thing is COMC. Yes, I've bought cards off COMC. It is very, very legitimate. There's no problems with that at all. They have very robust processes. The only issue from my perspective with COMC is that the time sometimes to get your delivery can be longer than what you would hope it to be. But other than that, you know, there's not a problem at all with what they do. That's the first thing. The second part of this question here is that the tracking. So it's a very personal decision whether you pay for tracked or untracked. For me, I just prefer that peace of mind, unless it is one base card or one card that I'm getting out of an insert set and I know it's a trusted seller. That's how I play that. I will generally pay for tracking. The thing that you need to keep in mind with COMC is it's not really designed to purchase one card at a time. The idea of COMC is that you are supposed to purchase cards in large bulks, put them all together, because all the cards are physically consigned at COMC. The difference of COMC between every other platform is that they literally have this enormous vault filled up with all people's cards. So you have to, if you want to sell on COMC, you have to send all of your cards over to COMC. It then gets put into the inventory. People then purchase them. They're all combined in together and then shipped out. So the reason why the shipping is a bit more expensive is because you would generally ship between 50 to 100 cards. And so, yeah, I get what you're saying with that. But at the same time, if you're posting 50 or 100 cards, actually the postage is very cheap. And that's how you actually save money using a service such as COMC. So look, the thing with eBay is, yeah, you can get burnt, but also to generally, you will find that if you go through the right processes, you should be able to get your money back. And so I'm a little bit surprised on that, in that you can't get your money back. Yeah, I would just say to you, just make sure you just keep persisting and keep trying to get your money back. And then the other thing you're asking about too is other places to buy. Yeah, so obviously COMCA, which sponsor our podcast, they're an Australian consignment service. I'm pretty sure you're in Australia, man. But look, COMC is a very viable service. You know, there should be absolutely no problems with that in any capacity at all. The next thing we've got to talk about today is actually a little bit of a hobby joke, and it's from a listener of the show who wants to remain anonymous. So I'm going to leave it as that. I think that this is available for everyone to look at and to find, but at the same time, and if you don't have the link, you're not going to know where to go. So rentry.co/C3NA3NEN. I will put that into today's chat. So the link's in the chat if you do want to have a read through this. And basically, it's the rules of the hobby. I do like this, but at the same time, I think the enforcement of this is going to be almost impossible. And what I mean by that is that, you know, who is going to actually act as this? And I think when we're talking about regulation of the hobby, at the end of the day, it has to be done by the key players of the hobby. And so who are the key players in the hobby at the moment? Fanatics is the absolute key player. I think in terms of regulation, in terms of boxes, in terms of regulation of how products are made and how it's done. And the author of this document talks a little bit about that. So, for example, the print run disclosure, well, that will be done by Fanatics. Printed product identity requirement, same thing, that's done by Fanatics. They release that information out to the public. Then Beckett picks it up. PSA will pick it up for their own checklist. People like GemRate, Card Ladder would use it also too. Pack odds disclosure, that's already happening with Fanatics already. The autographs, sticker autographs on premium cards prohibited. And I actually spoke to Tyson Beck about this specifically. So when Tyson came onto the show, we spoke about this. And basically what he was saying was that it should be done and it can be done. The issue is when you do it at scale, it's almost impossible to get that done. So if you did make it prohibited, there would be some run-on effect of that, throughout in terms of pricing, availability. I think resale would go up a lot. Memorabilia cards, game-worn memorabilia standard. I actually agree with that fully. I think that will be a really lovely thing for the hobby for that to be done. But at the same time, how would you make sure that that gets done? Because it seems to me like we're in this era now where there is so much volume being done and you wouldn't actually be able to get every single piece game worn. And so I suppose that the question is for collectors is, would you purchase one or would you still have one into your collection either way? And I probably think most people, actually, let me rephrase that. I think 60% of people would still be happy with a really nice looking patch on a patch autograph card, even if it wasn't game worn. So photo matching requirement, I think that's really cool. Patch integrity, that will be lovely because we've seen some absolutely terrible patches on that. The meaning of one. The one thing I was reading about this, so grading and authentication, universal grading standard. This is actually something I completely agree with. I think that there should be an absolute grading standard. And again, I probably think that will be done by the leader of the grading the moment, which is clearly PSA. So then PSA would be setting the standard. Does that mean that would make everybody happy? I think that actually would upset a whole lot of people. I had the guys from TCG on. We were actually talking about this, and he's pushing really hard to get something down into paper and get it done. But it's, again, how do you enforce it? How do you make this get done? Grader conflicts of interest, point 31. A grading company must prohibit any grader, authenticator, executive, or employees from grading, authenticating, or influencing the grade of a card in which that person has a financial interest. Amen to that. I think that's an insane, that's a really good rule. I want to go down to the eBay. I'm just gonna search for eBay because they had this thing about using here we go. Schedule 1, core offenses and classifications. Using eBay 101 in a listing is a civil offense. I like this. Prohibition on eBay 101. The term eBay 101 is prohibited in listings, titles, descriptions, thumbnails, captions, live streams, promotional posts, and auction catalogs. Similar phrases are also prohibited, including true eBay 101, investor 101, jersey number 101, bookend 101, pop 101, unless the listing clearly states population report only, manufactured 101. This is a really fun article. Congratulations to the author of this. And it would be fun to see a little bit more of this stuff taken out there. But yeah. All right, moving on. We have got a listener feedback from one of the posts we put up. And this post is when I did a post with Comron from GTI. And in this video here, we're talking about the Topps takeover and how that's actually changing the hobby, how it's impacting it. And this is Ryan's feedback to that post there. Feels like we've been saying the same thing for the last 5 years. Maybe a hot take, but I wonder if the obviously excessive break and box prices are almost a status thing that some newbies are proud of. It's the whole degen culture almost like those Wall Street bets post of guys losing $100,000 on meme stock. I do wonder what is driving breaking growth still, though. Like any non-collector I talk to is shocked to know the price of a pack or a box. It's definitely not just great marketing. Maybe I'm underestimating influencer culture. So what Ryan is referring to there is the total price of boxes and how people keep buying into them. he's also questioning whether it is the influencer part. I don't have an answer for this, Ryan, and I'm more just trying to have a conversation with you on this. And so, my personal gut feeling on this is that the marketing part of it is absolutely huge. And maybe something that we misunderstood or miscalculated about the Fanatics takeover was the marketing component. And I think if you really go back in time and consider the Panini era, everything that was done with Panini was all done with word of mouth, and it was all done via people spreading it organically. And so I think that the core that was there has actually grown into something that's really quite powerful and really quite healthy. And so when you then sprinkle on top of that high-end marketing, in addition to that, you've got people like Mr. Wonderful going out and going on national TV now. I really think that that is contributing to what we're currently seeing at the moment. And so the other thing that's really changed a lot too is the breaking platforms, because what has happened with the Fanatics distribution model, they've actually chosen specifically where the majority of the product is going to be going to. And so I think it's good and it's bad. It's good for smaller breakers because then they're not getting their allocation and there's fewer total number of breakers. But what it does do is it means that there are huge breakers getting large allocations and then getting through that. And so that does actually control the quality somewhat because they know exactly where all the product is going to. But also, too, I think that creates somewhat of a breaker monopoly where that I think the prices can, and I don't think the breakers are particularly putting up the prices. I think if they're using auction platforms and the prices are being driven up by demand, that's something different again. I think that's actually somewhat of an organic price increase. So that on top of, I think breakers are getting better at in terms of engagement and entertainment and providing a service for people, even if you go hitless. It's just all contributing to this, really large increase and thirst for product. I think the final thing to mention here is that it's first year tops. And what I mean by that is people have been absolutely frothing for this new product. And so will they actually have less interest next year in the product? I probably think that they won't, because I think next year's NBA rookie crop is going to be fantastic. So I think that that driver is still going to be there. But Ryan, if you are listening to this, mate, thank you so much for all of your contributions over a very long period of time. Yeah, I appreciate it very much. We've got this Ace Bailey sale here, and this is, I'm just going to call it the pink cracked ice because there's no way I can pronounce that. Pad Paradasha. Like, honestly, why do they make these words so hard? Ace Bailey, I love this kid a lot. My problem with this sale is that when are you going to get your money back on this, or if you're going to get your money back on this? For me, this is just absolutely almost asinine. I'm genuinely shocked that this guy is sold for that much. Particularly the timing of this sale too. This is the off season. It's PSA 7. Why aren't people buying Wemby cards at the moment, or De'Aaron Fox, OG, Karl Anthony Towns? That for me is probably a more interesting conversation at the moment. Look, I love this kid a lot. In terms of a prospect, for me, he's like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. I think the issue for this guy is obviously he's in Utah. There's been a lot of talk about who's going to be going to Utah next year. Will that eat into his minutes and his opportunities? And actually, I think he's the type of guy that does need the ball in his hands a little bit, and he does need shots because he can be a little bit passive at times. So I think sort of, force feeding him shots is going to be a good thing for him long term. But yeah, super tricky sale for me on this one. I'm not overly convinced by this one. Up next, this actually does interest me a lot. The NBA Finals this year has just been absolutely amazing. I love it for so many different reasons. It's just good to see new teams in there. And both of them, I love the narratives of sport. So for me, the narrative around the Spurs, obviously, you've got Wemby. My own personal narrative, obviously, I've got De'Aaron Fox in there. They've got a really young team with lots of guards, so they're fun to watch. On the flip side of the coin, you've got the Knicks, which haven't won an NBA championship, for 30 years. They've been absolutely terrible for a couple of those years. And so seeing them being put back together, they had to really reconstruct. They had to get their draft picks back. They had to clear up their cap space. Like that period of Isaiah Thomas when he had Steve Francis and Eddie Curry, and they had Stephon Marbury, and they had all these, really overpaid guys. And so the transition of their team has been wonderful. I love those team building stories. So really cool story for me. Would I like to see the Knicks win the championships? Yeah, I probably would like to see them win the championships. The part that I don't want to see, though, is the Knicks fans going crazy and wrecking the city and assaulting Spurs fans and ripping jerseys off. Like, that part of sports to me is so ugly. And frankly, I hope those people get arrested and either fined or put into prison, because that's, to me, is just absolutely disgusting. And I actually feel bad for the Spurs fan that bought the ticket, paid all those thousands of dollars, and then had his clothes ripped off on the street. Like, these people are animals, honestly. Anyway, back to basketball cards. Which card would I rather hear? I think the logical part of my brain says that I should be picking the gold PSA 10 of Karl Anthony Towns, but I think realistically in the world that we live in, that Wemby card is a better card because it's Wemby. It's as simple as that. And so it's an insert. It's a gold prism too. I get that. But at the same time, the better card is the Karl Anthony Towns, but I'm going for the Wemby just simply because it's Wemby. I think Karl Anthony Towns is horribly undervalued in this hobby, but even if he wins a championship, and let's just say he wins the finals MVP, which I think Brunson is going to win even if they lose, people just won't care. It's going to be the similar situation to where Jaylen Brown wins the MVP. And, people still love Jason Tatum a lot more. So, yeah, really fun one there. Thank you so much to Card Ladder for that one there. Alrighty, this is from Jeff Wilson. And if you've listened to my content before, you know how much I hate Jeff Wilson. However, this is actually good original content from him. And basically what he's doing here, he's picking up the Paninis using AI to write their content on the back of their cards. Then he spots the break and unleashes a 3 that lands like thunder. And this is for Joan Behringer, who's never shot a 3-pointer in his life. So there's that part of it. And then he finds another card, which is an NFL card. And look, I would never have picked this up because I'm not an NFL fan at all. Oh, here we go. We got the VJ Edgecombe. Edgecombe dribbles like someone turned gravity into a prank. One moment he's earthbound, the next he's tiptoeing across air currents only he can see. Defenders swear they heard wind chimes when he launched that last jumper, a sound marking yet another night where physics politely sat this one out. I mean, I would actually like Panini to reply to this and say, no, we had an intern or we had someone write this one up. This is the big one that I didn't pick up, but most makes me think that they are using AI in some capacity. Apparently the lines on the football field are supposed to go horizontal, not vertical. I mean, if it is true that they're not using artists and they're actually using AI, that kind of makes me a little bit sad, because some of the amazing things, for example, the first year kabooms, people love to chase those cards down when it is of a particular artist. Think about Tyson Beck for an example. People will actually try and chase these cards down because it is Tyson Beck, where he's been scattered around the NBA releases. And obviously he's got his own release set now too. But this to me kind of sucks a little bit. And I think some things that people are scared of with AI is that it's going to take jobs away and it's going to automate things too much and people are going to lose that employment opportunity. And I actually think this is a really good example of that. If they're using AI in sports cards, that to me takes away the art and the creativity piece from it, which I think this is what it should all be about at the end of the day. It should be art. It should be something that's aesthetically pleasing, and it should be something that's taken time and to be created. So I think the comparison for that for me would be if I use an AI to do my podcast for me. And I don't mean do the back end, like do all the boring typing and logging my posts and stuff like that. I actually mean doing my podcast. I think that would be terrible and be a waste of, frankly, good art. This next one here is from Kevin O'Leary TV, and this is him just being, again, so opportunistic, promoting the hobby for all of us. This is on Fox News. I was going to pause it right there. He's at the Knicks game. He's wearing an iMac Logoman, I was going to say RPA, patch autograph around his neck. And again, he's got that Tiffany jewelry around it. Going through the comments here, it's a logo and an auto, man. He actually did say a couple of things wrong in the interview, and whether he doesn't know the terminology or he just got a little bit muddled up as he was talking, I'm probably going to go with the latter. We all get our words jumbled up sometimes if you really sit down and listen to people as they're talking in a live platform. And the last card that we've got of tonight is Derrick Rose and 13 Panini Prism Black 1/1. We actually spoke about this the other day when John O'Michaels was on, but I want to do it again in a more sort of formal way. Sold for $24,600 via Alt on May the 28th, 26. I think this is actually an important sale for a few different reasons. The first reason is because he's been out of the league for a really long time, but I still think he has a really, really strong collector base. And so the other thing that made me think about this is that Panini have actually used him as a cover athlete for one of their products. And for me, I think that's a really ballsy choice because obviously Panini has to pivot. They need to find athletes who will sign for them, who's aren't being locked up by Fanatics. So I get that. But at the same time, too, to use Derrick Rose as a cover athlete, I think that's somewhat of a calculated risk there because I think that could go either really well for them and, people would pick up the products. They want to get a Derrick Rose autograph, or that actually that'll put people off because they'll say, well, that's the only good athlete that you've got signing for them. So I actually think it's a very good move. I think people love Derrick Rose. The other thing about this card too is it's the 2013 Panini Prism. This set for me is just iconic. I think the artwork on this set is fantastic. I think the design is just absolutely beautiful. We've seen this sort of design being brought back when they did some of the reprints and some of the Deca stuff, but I think going back to the OG, I was doing a segment recently talking about buying any graded card from the Jordan Fleer set. I wonder if moving forward into the future, and this is a very long-term prediction, it's really just a brainstorm on this, but I wonder if we're already 10 years down the line, I wonder if in 10 or 20 more years, so there'll be, say, 2043, when actually these cards will be highly, highly collected, where everyone will want to try and purchase like a full set in, PSA 6 or PSA 7. Some guys will go PSA 8, PSA 10. I think that stuff is going to be super low pop. We've seen the population reports on, for example, a Nikola Jokic rookie, a Giannis rookie, in comparison to, say, a Luka or a Ja Morant or a Zion rookie card. We know the populations back then was just nothing compared to what's being printed out now. I really do wonder if they're going to be, super collectible moving into the future. Alrighty, guys, I'm going to tie this off here. Keep it short and sweet. Thank you, everybody, for joining in today. I really appreciate you guys for jumping in, and I'll catch you in the next ones.